Hello and welcome. My name is Kate. I'm also known as the Daily Tarot Girl, and today I have a special guest. So I want to welcome Karin Dalton-Smith. Karin is a tea leaf reader, and she is an international award-winning author of the Tea Leaf Reading Cards Oracle deck, and her globally recognized brand, Tea with Karin, offers teacups, tea cards, charms, and casting mats for divination. So, welcome, Karin. I'm so excited to chat with you and pick your brain and ask you all kinds of wonderful questions about tea leaf reading.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. And Karin is a part of Tarot Summer School with me this year. So me and Karin both have courses in Tarot Summer School, and Karin's course is called Discover the Wonder and Magic of Tea Leaf Reading. And I have checked out Karin's course a little bit. I've done some of the videos, so so I've got lots of questions about this.
Oh,
Now,
good.
I have to tell you, Karin, that the very first reading I ever got, I think, 13 or 14 years old, and
Oh, how exciting.
yeah, and it was a tea leaf reading.
Ah, was it from a relative or a friend's friend or somebody?
No, it wasn't. It was a
Yeah.
lady who had a house that she'd kind of
Yeah,
turned into a tea leaf reading place.
like a hot cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you could go
yeah.
for, brunch and tea, and she would read your tea leaves. And it was just I
Wow.
remember just being
Mhm.
enchanted
Yeah.
by the whole
And
experience. And
but
I
being
just
so
loved it.
young, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's wonderful because it's a very soft entry, I suppose, with tea leaf reading because it's just symbolic divination. Where when you're young, sometimes like people might get scared of certain tarot decks, if they're really um, creepy, sort of old school tarot decks or something like that. Thank goodness they're not scary like that so much. But yeah, years ago and being young, you either like it or you don't. But tea leaf reading's a nice, gentle entry.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me
It's
though, when you had that reading, do you remember that reading, what it was?
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember the tea leaf reader, she talked about past lives and places I was going to travel to in this lifetime and things I was going to do. And I got my mom to take notes and write
yeah.
everything down. And I still have that piece of paper with everything written down. And every
Yeah.
now and then I go back to it and I read it, and it's just such a special reading. It really resonated with me. And I think what I liked the most about it was that as a young person, I felt like the reader, she was an older woman in her,
Mm.
I don't know how old she was, in her 60s or something, and
Yeah.
she didn't talk down to me like I was just some
Oh no,
dumb kid.
no.
She read me like I was a
Yeah.
soul, the same as
Yeah.
everyone else in the room, and so that really stood
Yeah.
out to me.
Wow. And did the things unfold of
Yes.
what? Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I probably asked her what I was going to be when I grew up, because that's what I wanted to know. And
Oh,
she said I was going to be a teacher. And I was really disappointed in that because I think probably when I was 13 or 14, I wanted to be a movie star or something stupid like
oh, yeah.
that, right?
Big ambitions. Yeah.
Oh, a school teacher, like what?
Yeah.
And I did not become a school teacher, but I'm a tarot teacher. So I
Well, I was going to
teach.
say teacher in many forms.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when did you start reading tea leaves?
Started reading tea leaves actually quite young because I'm the youngest of five children, and my mum used to read teacups and things like that. And I was very, very little. I remember playing on the floor with different things. I must have only been about five or six. And mum and her friends, we used to call them aunties back then. A lot of kids don't these days, but your mum's friends, they were Auntie Joan and Auntie what have you. And so I remember the giggles over teacups and things like that. And so looking into teacups, I was quite young. I was only probably 5 or 6 or so, but then started looking at them more seriously in my teens. But back then, like I'm early 60s, and back then, I'm from a little state in Australia called Tasmania. It's the lowest point before the Antarctica, and but back then, when I was a teen growing up, you couldn't actually talk much about tea leaf reading, tarot card reading, playing cards, nothing like this to do with the spiritual world because it was very cloak and dagger. So it was very much hidden behind doors when I was growing up. And it wasn't until probably my early 20s when a few life shifts had happened really big, and it was like, wow, that was true. That was an impact. And it was with my sister-in-law, or my sister-in-law at the time, where we'd gone and again experimented. We'd seen a really old lady in the country about tea leaves and things like that. And you sort of walk away and you think, nah, she's wrong. Nah, she's wrong. We know better. We know differently. But things had unfolded. So it was sort of more in my 20s when it was again more of what I do. But I actually didn't go public with it until 2012. So, because again, I think it's me growing up with the whole stigma of, no, people are going to think you're crazy and people won't take you serious. And I was working in corporate field, and you had this hidden life, and I couldn't come out with this side of me in the corporate world that I was doing because you would not be seen as professional. So, but then I sort of got to the point after 2012, a couple of years went on, and then I sort of thought, don't care anymore what the corporate world thinks about me. So, yeah, I think I'd got to that level in the job, and I was quite high up in that job, and it was like, bite me. I don't care anymore what you think about me. So, and I was actually quite surprised because even with the work colleagues that I had, it was received really well. And then I'd have them at lunchtime. Oh, can you have a look at mine? And can you have a look at mine? So, but yeah, so I went more public with it 2012.
All
Yeah,
right. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
That's so interesting. I hear that a lot of
Mm,
with from, tarot
mm,
readers and intuitive
mm.
readers who have, a regular job, a corporate job, and they sort of have to keep their kind
Right.
of woo-woo side
Yeah.
sort of
It's
hidden.
hard. It is. It's really hard. So, and
Yeah.
look, I have to say, I probably wouldn't have pushed myself out that much, but I've got grown-up children myself, and my own daughter is a tarot reader. She's actually one of Australia's top tarot readers. Her name's Chloe Miller. And she had started full-time reading. She was only in her early 20s. And she then again kept pushing, pushing. And then suddenly it was like she put something up online, and I was suddenly had this page, and it was like, what are you doing, Chloe? I can't do this. I'm in the corporate world and all the rest of it. And so she gave me the shove out into the public eye. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's
So,
lovely.
yeah. So, and it was like, oh my God, what are people going to think? Yeah.
And so you said you were kind of surprised though.
Yeah.
Like, did you get any negative like pushback at
No,
all?
no, I was really shocked actually. And look, even after all these years now, I'd still sit back and think, okay, yeah, people are still receiving this well. So, because I suppose I just hung on to that whole closed door thing from when I grew up. But no, it hasn't been any negativity at all. And it's been really lovely because when I first started being public and putting it online and starting in on Facebook groups and things like that, I did get a lot of poo-pooing back then because a lot of people would say, this isn't real divination. You can't forecast with teacups. You can't use oracle cards and read and get any accuracy. And so there was a lot of haters as well back then.
Mhm.
And every person who's a reader, we all get haters are always going to hate. You get them no matter what,
Mhm.
and but you still take them to heart. It still hurts,
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I sort of kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And it's interesting because I've seen this complete shift of tea leaf reading since then, like probably the major shift from about 2015 on, where people are suddenly looking at tea leaf reading and adding it to their already growing practice, whether they read tarot or playing cards and whatnot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them. Mm.
Yeah, because I don't know if I know any tea leaf readers, or
No.
maybe one or two, but I don't,
Yeah.
it's not as common as tarot reading,
No,
or
no,
even mediumship, or other
no.
forms of reading.
Yeah,
And I'm surprised that I never really looked into tea leaf reading or tried
yeah,
to learn it.
yeah.
So yesterday I had a peek
Mm.
at your course
Yep,
that you're offering through Tarot Summer School.
that's good.
And so I watched some of the intro videos about like what cup to use.
Yep,
Um, Now,
how
one
to
question I have,
choose.
and I know you
Mm.
have a lesson on this, but I I want to ask you, does it matter what kind of tea is used
No,
for tea leaf reading?
no, doesn't
Okay.
make any difference whatsoever. So, and even with tea bags, you can just snip the corner off tea bag. Don't dump in the whole tea bag though, because it ends up like mud. You
Mhm.
only need about a quarter of a teaspoon of tea. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just a quarter of a
Yeah, I always
teaspoon.
say, look, if it's your own cup, literally a pinch of tea, like you would do a pinch of salt on your
Right,
food.
right.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, good to know.
yeah,
So you can do
yeah. Any
Assam,
tea.
Darjeeling, Orange
Yeah,
Pekoe.
any type. The teas that I break up though is green teas or Japanese
Right.
sencha teas because green teas the leaves are very long.
Hmm.
And so when you put leaves like green teas in your cups, use the back of your spoon and just break up the leaves first and then put your water. Because if you don't, you're just going to end up with a whole teacup full of canoes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because their leaf structure is so long. Yeah.
Right, right.
Hmm. Yeah.
So how would you describe tea leaf reading? Like how does it work exactly? I know that's
Oh,
kind of a big,
yeah.
vague
No,
question,
no,
but
no. All I say is what you see is what you get. Tea leaf reading is very literal.
okay.
You can look in teacups and some of your symbols. It's like I always say you got person, place, or thing,
Okay.
and you'll get all sorts of animals and objects and letters and numbers in teacups. And you literally focus in on what draws you to it first. And a lot of people, there's all sorts of different methods. People will say you've got to go clockwise. Some people will say start in the bottom. And it's like some people say the bottom of the teacup is all the doom and gloom. And that's like a lot of the grannies would look at.
Hmm.
But often in the bottom of the teacup is where they are. It's more important. It means literally pay attention to what's going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, what you see is what you get. It's very much like, and combinations, clusters. So, say if you had a dragon in your cup, and
Hmm.
then triangular structures are female, stick structures or straight sticks are masculine. So, say you had a dragon looking at a lady or a female, that literally means what is she afraid of? Because if I was the sitter and I was reading the cup for somebody else then, and there's the lady would represent me. And the dragon often means mythical creatures. And when you are looking at tea leaf reading, there's five main factors that you literally look at the image is number one, what is it? So dragon, mythical creature, what does it do? It's supposed to be there to scare us.
Hmm.
Does it move fast or slow? Well, they move pretty fast. Does it have emotion? Well, yes, it would if it was real, but in our stories, it still would be.
Hmm.
And what does the dragon mean to me? So a dragon could be something where, like for a dragon, for me, I remember a TV series when I was a child. It was called Puff the Magic Dragon. He was a good one. So me looking at the dragon would be face your fears, it's not real.
Right.
So, but if that dragon was facing away from the lady, it literally means claim your power, fly the wing of the dragon. And it's like, take flight. You've got three options: flight, freeze, or fear. But you going behind the dragon literally means I'm coming up to the dragon, I am taking control of this, and I am flying. So they mean things depending whether they're pointing to you or pointing away.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
same as a sword. If the sword was pointing to me, it would be, oh, look out, there's either heart arguments, I'm going to get hurt. But then if the sword was facing away and I'm walking up to it, it means I'm claiming the handle and everyone better look out because I'm in charge.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they mean things. It's what you see is what you get. Yeah.
So you look for specific symbols in the tea
Yes.
leaves. Now, is
Yeah.
there like a list of like specific symbols that you look for, or can you just like make up symbols on the fly?
Anything. It could
Hmm.
be anything.
Okay.
Absolutely anything. You could see a dice, you could see a rock, you could see tornadoes, you can see birds, you can see other people, numbers, things like that. It's not just, oh, that has to be a dog. It could be a dog to me, but
Okay.
it could be a rhinoceros to somebody else.
Right.
So, and this is the beauty of tea leaf reading. There is no wrong.
Right.
And that's where people get scared and they think, oh, I can't read teacups, so I'm going to get it all wrong. There is no wrong.
Hmm.
It's what is in that person, of what their intuition is telling them what they see. And
Hmm.
one of the tricks with looking at symbols in teacups, and it's literally don't look at a teacup this close. It's
Hmm.
literally hold it at arm's length
Right.
and hold it like with your arm outstretched and semi squint your eyes. Because the moment you semi squint your eyes, the images literally pop out in 3D to you.
That's what I
Yeah.
noticed my tea leaf reader when I got my tea leaves read.
Yeah.
That's what she did. Now,
Yeah.
okay, so you
Yeah.
said there's no wrong way.
There
You
is no
can't
wrong.
mess up. But
No.
when I went to get my tea leaves read, I went with my mom and my mom's friend.
Yep.
So there's three of us, and
Yep.
each of us got a reading, and I loved my reading, and my mom's friend had this amazing reading where the reader really kind of got to like what was going on in her life, and it was really fascinating. And then she read my mom, and like none of it made sense. Everything
Uh-huh.
she said didn't make sense to my mom.
Isn't that interesting? But did
Yeah.
anything come out of that, even if it didn't make sense for your mum?
No, it didn't.
Ah,
And
okay.
that's the my mom's had that
That's interesting.
experience, I think, in other
Yeah,
readings too, where it felt like
yeah,
the reader just
yeah.
didn't connect.
Mm, mm. And then it makes me wonder, though, was your mum very blocked in accepting readings? Because some people too, you can get, it's almost like talking to a stone wall. And you
Right,
have
right.
someone come here and sit like this. It's an instant blocking, and you cannot go into the energy of that person. And
Yeah, it's
they have
possible.
to be open and ready to receive.
She might not
Mm.
have been as into
Mm.
the tea
Yeah.
leaf reading as we were. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, it can be actually, because like I did during COVID lockups that we had here, I did a massive class of well over 100 Chinese students actually via Zoom. And one of them has come out, she was my translator, and she's a fabulous reader. And but the first time she was going public was a big fair in Shanghai, in China. And I went through crash course in how to deal with on a business side of it from a public person, because I set up a course on if you want to be your own boss. I called it BYOB. And I went through all these different strategies. And one of the sections I've got in it was when you are a public reader, how you cope with the non-believer and the skeptic, because there are people, if you're at fairs or markets and expos and things like that, it's not uncommon. You might find a group of people come past and say, oh, there's a reader, go and sit. Oh, I dare you, that type of thing.
Yeah.
They're the, and I'm sure lots of us have had them. They're actually the worst person who can sit with you, because they're going to sit there blocked. They're going to say, "No, that's not true. No, that's not true." And you could be hitting goals left, right, and centre,
Right.
but they're not ready to receive. And it was one of the things I said to her, and she said, "But why would somebody come and sit with you if they don't believe?" And I said, "Because there'll be the girlfriend pushing the boyfriend to have a reading. It'll be the friends to say, 'Go on, I dare you.' Oh, a bit of fun," and so on.
Hmm.
If you get the people like that, it's clearly just, it's easier to say, "You're not ready to be open, and
Hmm.
we're not going to read today."
Right.
Um, and it may have been your mum not ready.
Right.
So, yeah, because sometimes it's like, "No, I don't believe in this stuff, so why am I bothering?" Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So,
I've had that myself. I had a years ago it was a reader, and I never let anyone else know that I'm a reader if I'm at a fair or anything. And I had a lady, and she was so far away from everything. But then I know I'm extremely difficult for people to do readings for.
oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So you've had that
Mm.
ex yeah, and I've had that
Oh,
experience
I've had the
too.
exact same as your mum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And your mum's probably very intuitive and very gifted in her ways where she can't accept others. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, because I've had the exact same experience. I don't bother going for readings with anybody anymore because it's never the same. And again, I know I'm very difficult, and it must be just the walls that are around me.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I see.
Mm,
I've been read for
mm.
many different times, different types of reading. That's a beautiful teacup. I love
Yeah,
that
lovely.
teacup. Oh, that's so
It's
pretty.
it's slathered in gold.
Oh, I actually
Yeah.
collect old
Mm,
teacups and
yeah.
saucers because they're
Yeah.
just so charming
Yeah.
and lovely.
Oh, they are. They are. This one's my favorite. I love the gold. Yeah.
So I was reading on your website that you incorporate you don't just do tea leaf reading, you also
No.
incorporate charms, you incorporate
Yep.
cards.
Yep.
So how do you like to incorporate those different tools into your readings?
When a client comes here, I'm actually in my tea room now. So you see all the teacups and things behind me.
Hmm.
Um, when I have a reading, my readings here go for an hour. So, person sits. Well, I make their tea while they drink tea. I actually use my tea leaf reading cards, and I go through a big session of those. We layer cards with charms as well for the extra input on the certain areas. Most people that come and sit with me, we go through all your major topics, which is, relationships and love, career, travel, money, health. I get a lot of people with babies as well. So, so we go through all the major topics. And then when we do that, we then go into the teacups. And I think what is so different is even what I see in cards, because cards, there's, symbols, they're all just imagery. And from the cards, then when I see teacups, the amount of times I'm seeing same images in the cup that I've just seen in cards, I can't explain it. It just
Hmm.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always do three. I always do cards, charms, and cups. Yeah.
Yes. And that must
Yeah.
be like a really nice
It's
uh what's that word?
it's almost like
Confirmation.
confirmation. It is
Hmm.
confirmation, but it's just that warm arms around you. Yeah.
Hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not scary, it's not spooky, it's gentle. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
noticed, like, because you're someone who's reading for people on a regular basis, and
Mm.
something I've noticed in my tarot readings when I read for people is that certain themes will start showing up for not everyone I read for, but like 75 to 80% of people I read for, some of the same kinds of messages and themes will be coming
Mm.
through for a period of
Mm.
time, maybe like a
Yeah.
month or something, and then it will stop, and then it will be some other kind of theme. I'm
No,
curious if you've noticed that in your readings.
um, I do now and again, like at the moment, the last couple of months, and I don't know why, and it's difficult as a reader, and you probably know yourself. I get so many with pregnancy questions.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, why is it that I'm being directed into babies, And it's a big area where 99% of us as readers like, no, don't go there.
Yeah, yeah.
But and I'm just thinking, why is it all of a sudden it's babies? And then you get the shift, and then it'll be people in career, or
Mhm.
then you might get a lot of business people making business decisions. I don't know why, but it's almost like, is this just the planetary shifts that people are looking at, or is it the age brackets? I don't
Mhm.
know. It's really quite strange, but yeah, lately all I'm getting is babies, babies, pregnancies, babies, and it's
That's
like,
so funny. I never
no.
get questions about babies in my readings, like
Oh,
almost never.
I get them a lot, and it's like, no, I don't want to be known as the pregnancy reader. Yeah. So I really don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and I just think no, and I'd rather, and it's really strange because if you get then somebody completely left field where they're thinking, well, I'm working in this industry, I've climbed all the way up, I'm thinking of going into a business side gig or something myself. I actually get excited. I think, oh, goody, something different. Yeah,
right.
yeah, and you do. So, but yeah, it seems to shift in themes. It's like the cycles, and I don't know why. So,
Yeah,
yeah, and then you think, gosh, when's the moon? Is there
right.
something going on? Yeah,
Yes, yeah. I've
yeah,
noticed every now and then I'll go live on my YouTube channel and I'll do one
mhm.
card readings for people. And I'll
Yep,
notice that sometimes everyone's asking about relationships and
oh,
like love questions. And then the
yeah,
next time I do it, it's career or
yep,
it's like creativity or something like that. Like there'll be
yep,
like themes. So it is
yeah,
really interesting.
yeah. It is, isn't it? So, love
Yeah.
readings, they can be hard, especially when there's some exes. And
Hmm.
and you would know that by doing your, especially live readings. That's really hard. And
Hmm.
you get some of the people that'll be, will he come back to me? And then you look at it and think, no, he's moved on.
Right.
But then sometimes you see things and you think, what's going on here? And I had one many years ago who was actually a guy infatuated with a young girl, but it turned out he was stalking this girl. No connection whatsoever.
Right.
But my alarm bells went off big time.
Yeah.
And I always say, when you're a reader, ethics are number one.
Hmm.
And I've always said, as a reader, you literally need your little black book of extra services that that client needs that you can't give. And you
Right.
should never, as a reader, have your ego big enough to think, no, I can fix the world. You can't. Some people need counsellors, lawyers, protection with, I don't know, domestic services and so things like
Right.
that. And so, as a reader, it's your responsibility to make sure that person is looked after in every way. And so, this young guy that I had, when I kept looking and thinking there is zero connection here, and then I actually just turned around and I said, has you actually even met for a coffee date or anything like that? And he pulled out of his bag, and it was like a scene out of Dexter. He actually had an entire flip folder of all this girl's movements and things like that. So, and it's my one time in all my years of reading where I've actually didn't sit right with me for 24 hours, and I actually had to bring in and contact police.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. So
Wow.
it's not a bed of roses all the time.
Yeah.
But like I said, you have to be responsible as a reader of, does this person need extra services?
Right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's good advice. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
so often you think that you're just going to be doing a tarot reading or tea leaf reading, but then it can
yeah.
kind of go off the rails a bit and turn into something
It
else.
can it can do. It
Mhm.
can be a big shift,
Mhm.
and it's a real thing. And what I've discovered over the years is people probably who may need, proper counselling service, psychology services to help them get through difficult times and things like that. But a lot of them won't take them and go and see them services because they think, oh, it's a stigma attached. But yet they'll go and see a reader and say, oh, I met this really good reader and I had this, this, and this. When they probably need counsellor, but they wouldn't go and say to friends and family, oh, I saw this really great psychologist.
Right.
And it's like, you've got to be, it's a fine line between are we spiritual advisors, readers, or are we counselors?
Right.
Um, and I've got a real problem with people who call themselves holistic counselors or spiritual counselors when they have no counseling degree or training behind them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
because yeah, I've seen that happen here where people call themselves counselor, but they're not.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We're spiritual advisors. Yeah.
So, do you remember your very first reading?
I do actually. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. And it was a lovely young lady, and she was married, and it looked like the husband had someone else on the side, and it was interesting because I looked at it, and you sort of look at that and think, oh, how do you say something like that, even though all my radars were going off that something going on with this man? And when people have third party influences, and I've seen the different online readers, and I think, why are you saying things like that? And they'll go in and they'll say, oh, he's got someone else in the background, he's having a hot wild love affair. He may not have a hot wild love affair. He could be a workaholic. He could be a sports fanatic. It could be just he likes things with his mates. And so a third party isn't always a lover. A
Right.
third party could be, his third party could be his interfering mother in their marriage. But this particular one, I remember saying to her, you do have third party influence in the marriage. And she was freaking right out about, oh, is he having an office affair and things like that. And I said, no, it's not always that. I said, he could be just a third party influences interfering between you two. And as it turned out, we call them workshop widows here. He was a car fanatic, and he'd spend hours and hours with car clubs, the mates in his garage and things like that. So their third party was him being she was a workshop widow, we call them.
Right.
And yeah, and I remember that, and it was funny because years later, like I got luckily a lovely repeat client base, and she'd come back and they'd just had their third son, and and she said at the time, she said, "I'm so glad," she said, "you pointed out to me because she would have just ran off and accused him."
Right.
And it was nothing to do with he wasn't having a hot wild love affair. It was the third party influence was his car mad.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Oh, that's funny. And what
yeah.
a wild first reading to do.
But you don't forget them, and I still see
Yeah.
her. Yeah, and I still see her, and the boys are growing up now, and they had three natural born sons, but she ended up adopting her brothers. She had two. She got five boys now, and she ended up adopting the brothers' two children, because he's lost his partner and he couldn't cope. So she's got now five boys. Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
she's going to have a lot of workshop widow now.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So when it comes
Yeah.
to learning tea leaf reading, what kinds of skills would you say are the most useful and the most helpful for aspiring students of tea leaf reading?
You really don't need any skill. I think the biggest thing is put yourself in the zone, having the place of peace. Tea leaf reading, like I said, is very gentle.
Mhm.
So you need your quiet space, you need your thought times. And I always say, literally get a piece of paper and start in your cup. Um, so that's one of my teaching cups.
Okay.
So when we're looking in a teacup, you start at your handle, you work your way around. Oh, sorry, that way. Work your way around. Um, and so in this one, I've got a mermaid there. So you would get your piece of paper and you'd write down the word mermaid. Then you'd go along to the next one here. We've got a cat. So you'd write the word cat, and then you go along, and then we've got a chair. So as you are writing each word, you're then writing, okay, what does a mermaid mean? That's where you come and you ask those questions. What is a mermaid? What's her purpose? Does she have emotion? Does she move fast or slow? What does a mermaid mean to me? And it could be even just the Little Mermaid from the TV show. So you're funneling down those keywords. Then you go into your next word, cat. Well, what is a cat? And by having these columns of words, you're then stringing your sentence together. Because tea leaf reading, whether it's in a cup, cards, or charms, it's storytelling. And as silly as it sounds, and I was actually teaching a young guy this the other night, and I said to him, as silly as it sounds, is grab those keywords and literally write, once upon a time there was
Yeah.
a mermaid, the cat, and what it is. And that will actually form your storyline.
Hmm.
And that's how you string a cup together. Like this one here, I've got different colours and different divisions. So the 4 is if you were sectioning up your life into, say, 4 months,
Hmm.
um, then you've got these as separates, and they're 3 months, 6 months, 9 and 12.
Hmm.
But if the red lines are 4, and in a cup, you can actually choose, say, 4 topics. You could say this section's love, this section's money, this section's family, and this section's travel. So you've got all these different ways you can segment a cup, which I've put in the courses for you as well. So all this is actually in the summer school course
So
on how.
do you like decide on what those quadrants are going to mean before you
Absolutely.
pour the tea?
Absolutely. You
Okay.
must set your time intentions and your thoughts as you're making your tea, drinking your tea.
Okay.
You wouldn't pour your cup and swirl it and then say, oh, do I divide it into 4? Do I look at it 12 months? Do I look at it as 3 months? Or do I look at it even as a cup of the day? And a cup of the day, you've got like blue lines here.
Hmm.
And so usually anything up that handle in a cup of the day would mean home, family, emotions, things that are close to you. And the
Hmm.
bottom part would be the material world and external influences such as jobs and friends, other acquaintances and things like that. And so you can read a cup a day. It doesn't have to be all these divisions, but you really have to have that time intention set before you turn that cup over.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. I'm just like fascinated by this. I'm like on the edge of my seat, like literally on the edge of my seat. Um, so I really loved in your course, there's 1 or 2 videos where you do like demonstration readings
Yes.
where we actually see inside the cup and
Yes.
you're like, oh, look, there's a person on a cliff, there's, a
Yep.
triangle, etc.
Yep.
And I found that like it blew my mind. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like I could learn this. This is really cool.
Yeah.
This looks so
Yeah.
fun.
It is. It is. It
Yeah.
is. It's like I said, it's very simple. And like even where I'm doing that reading sample, someone doing the course might where I might have said, okay, that looks like a train, they might look at it and think, no, it looks like a snowplow.
Right.
That if that's what they see, that is correct.
Right.
And I think this is the thing. It's like when somebody asked you, what's intuition? And intuition is that most first pop in your head random idea you could possibly get.
Mm,
But the problem is we don't listen to it and we allow society too much reason, too much logic to come in and think, no, it can't be that. And
hmm.
that's where I say, slap yourself and listen to that inner voice is what was that first thought?
Hmm. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because that's the right one.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
And often, like when you meet someone, your first impressions of them, it's kind of the same thing, right? They're often more correct.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing is we don't listen enough to our gut of what it is. And it's like they always say, some people meet someone, they think, I'm not sure, there's something. And you really need to listen to that. What is the something that you are
Hmm.
feeling? So,
Hmm.
and you might then reserve your judgment until you meet them again or see them in other situations. But
Yeah.
listen to that first gut instinct, and it's absolutely vital. But that's your intuition screaming.
I had a
Mm.
funny experience this weekend. I went to a dancing festival on the weekend, and I was talking with a young man, and we were chit-chatting about the festival. And after a few minutes, he said, "I'm so glad I took the time to talk with you. You're so much different than what my first impressions of you were." And I
Oh,
said, I
wow.
said, "Oh, was your first impression that I was a total bitch?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, well, yeah."
Oh.
I said,
How
well, I
interesting.
kind of am. That's
Yeah.
that's
How
not totally
funny is
inaccurate. I said I kind of feel seen.
how funny is that?
We
But
had
even
a bit of
more,
a laugh about it, but it was
it
true. It's like,
is.
well, I am kind of a bitch. And
Yeah,
that wasn't wrong. I had that's a side of me. It's not my entire
yeah. No,
personality.
but then that's you as young female in your protective boundaries, and
Right, right.
you look seriously. You got to have that these days, particularly as a young female or any female of that respect.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Yeah.
we have to. It's almost like we walk around with a hula hoop around us.
Right.
And I know when my kids were young and you're teaching children about boundaries and personal space, I actually had chat with a client who's got children with this the other day, and I said it's like tell them to imagine, or even if a child you physically got a hula hoop, put that, get them to hold it, and say if people enter your hula hoop and they're invading your space, it's like
Mhm.
no, get out of my hula hoop. But I think it's just yeah, we walk around with a protective boundary around us, and you'll know when you want to let that boundary down. So with that young person, that man who met, your thoughts of him might have been about, oh, he's a bit of a dick. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it
yeah,
really was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's hard because in social situations, everybody's got a different persona. You're not showing your real self because you're in a group situation or a public situation. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
and was he, when you first saw him, what was your thoughts of him?
Um, I think I was like, oh, this guy seems kind of,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, not sleazy. He didn't seem sleazy, but I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, this guy might be a bit of a prick. And
Yeah.
he wasn't. He was really lovely.
He was probably lovely, yeah. But the same thing, he's probably doing the same though. He's going in
Yeah.
there with the shield up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah,
So,
no,
where can people find you if they want? And actually, I should ask first, tell us just a little bit about, I know we've talked about your course a little bit,
yeah,
but can you give us just a little snippet about what your course, your
yeah,
Tarot Summer School course is
yeah.
about?
My tarot summer school course is reading blank teacups, so pull them out the cupboard. Um, we go through on choosing your cup. Number one is the big thing because people try and read out of a straight mug. You
Mhm.
can't read out of a straight mug, or you could at a pinch, but it's not ideal. Bowl-shaped teacups are the best. So we go through choosing your cup. We then go through all the different types of teas, and you can use any type of tea in tea leaf reading, and I show all the different types. So,
Mhm.
black teas and green teas, where we speak about breaking them up, even using a tea bag, snip off the corner, quarter of a teaspoon of tea. One of the big things is teaching people how to swirl a teacup because that is where everybody looks and they'll go swish, 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 dump. And then
Mhm.
you look in your cup and you think, there's nothing left here, and it's all out in the saucer. So it's not always swirl, 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 dump, because that's
Mhm.
just going to wash it. Your idea of tea leaf reading, or when you're spinning a cup, is you are slowly turning, but as you're turning, we're starting to turn over, right? And we're
Okay.
rolling. It's a lot of people may not know, but when you see a cement mixer truck, how they're constantly turning, but when they are ready to dump the cement out where they're needed, their barrel will turn like this and then it turns up as it's still turning, because then you're going to have your tea leaves all around your cup.
Okay.
So some people with teacups, they'll get the saucer, they'll get the cup, and then they put it on like that.
Yeah.
You can swirl like that and turn,
Okay.
but again, you've got to be fairly careful that you don't dump everything in. The biggest thing too is if you leave too much water in with your leaves,
Mhm.
you'll wash them all out. You only need, where the leaves are in the bottom when you've drank it, leave only just enough water covering those leaves, which is
Mhm.
usually about a teaspoon of water.
Okay.
If you drink it out and it's completely drained, don't be afraid to just put a teaspoon of water back in. So
Mhm.
you've got some swirl, something to swish. Yeah.
I think
So,
when I got my tea leaves read, I drank the whole cup. I
yeah.
don't think there was any like tea left, and then she had me
Yeah.
like flip it onto the saucer and then turn it 3 times
Yep.
in a particular direction.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So some people will have it, and again, it depends where you're taught. Um, some people will have, say, use your non-dominant hand to do that and you're dumping.
Hmm.
Some people will, when it's upside down, my routine that I do is I tap 3 times and it's almost like someone knocking on your door to say, may I come in? Some people, different readers will say, place a piece of jewelry, ring, watch, necklace on the back of the cup. Um, so there's all different varieties and customs, and I think it really comes down to who taught you. Some will say no one else is to touch the cup, only the sitter. Where I don't worry about things like that at all, because to me they're all superstitions from wherever who was taught, who they come by. So you don't have to do your rotations 3 times. Some people do. Um, I see a lot of coffee readers do that more than tea readers, is when you turn your cup 3 times. In coffee reading, you actually use your thumb in the bottom and
Okay.
twist, and that's what they call your wish. So there's all different methods, but again, none of them are wrong. It's only what you've been taught. Like someone might do my course, but their grandmother might say, no, no, that's not how we did it.
Right,
Um,
right.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Suits the person. So the main thing is whoever's having the reading has drank the tea. That's your energy input in to
Hmm.
drink the tea. If you have someone who is allergic to tea or just won't drink tea at all and they don't even want to have a sip of tea, I always say get them to hold their hands over the cup and have a think about it. What is it that they want to know? And then that's fine. You can then just tip out, slowly tip out the bulk of it, leave it, spin it.
Right.
Particularly if you are reading tea leaves in public, like if you're at, say, a market fair or something like that. I got tea leaves myself. um, I do events and things with my daughter, and I did a big event at a big gathering only last weekend. Yeah, not this one, just gone the one before. And there was a lot of people there. And so you can't make cups of tea for every person you sit there.
Mhm.
So when I do events like that, I actually have a teapot and I've got like a big old fashioned silver ladle and it's got
Mhm.
in there. I have my cups. I ladle the tea in, but I usually only put the small amount.
Mhm.
I don't let that person drink because I'm in a public environment, but
Mhm.
we literally sit with both hands over the top of the cup. And I just say to them, have a think about what questions or what subject matters you would like. Because that's also another thing is I always say the worst thing any reader can get, and you may get this too, is when somebody says, just a general reading, please.
Oh, I love
Um,
those readings. Those are my favorite.
oh, that's my biggest pet hate because I always look at it and I say to them, I said, but the problem with the general is if you were coming to my place and you had to put in the GPS, would you put in Rabina Court or Gwendolyn Drive?
Right.
It's a complete bum steering direction.
Hmm.
So, and I always say just any topic you can choose, career, love, money, travel, what have you. If you've got a direction, that is important. And the main reason is because in tea symbology, symbols mean different things with the different topic.
Right.
So, for example, what do I use? A mermaiding career, for instance, that there would tell me, why are you not showing your full self? Because the mermaid is, again, mythical. She's the illusion. So it's like, what is the facade? You're hiding behind a facade. You need to show literally your inner goddess. Your sight there, show the beauty, all the attributes that you have. Whereas, say, a mermaid in love can be similar, like not showing, but are your ideals too high? So they like, are you pursuing? Have you got this checklist to say, no, they've got to have full head of hair and lots of money and high power career and things like that? And it's almost like, um, don't look or look beyond the facade. There's more to the person. So symbols are different with the different topics. So someone saying to me, just a general please, I want to reach over and strangle them.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know there's lots of tarot readers that hate that too, but
Yeah.
I've come to like really appreciate it when someone asks for a
Yeah.
general reading because I'm
Yeah.
like, great, I'll
Yeah.
just see like
Yeah.
what cards come up, what messages come through. I always
Yeah.
have fun with it, but I can see how something like tea leaf reading with the symbols and things like that, that it
It
would
does.
really be much
Yeah.
easier to have something to kind of hone in on and have
It
something to
is
focus
because
on.
yeah, it is because they just mean so many things so differently.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it does,
Yeah.
it gives you a lens through which to look at the teacup through, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And that's the thing. It's like, if you're looking at a cup and you're saying, well, is this a career cup? But again, this is where sections come into play. And again, even if I'm reading this and say the person wanted to know a little bit about their love life and a little bit about career, again, this comes down to love life and home and families in the handle, because the handle always represents the self, the person. When I was little, mum, aunties, so I can see, you would read a cup with the handle pointing towards you,
Right.
because that means what's close to my heart.
Hmm.
So the handle represents the self. And if the person there wanted to know a bit about their love life, so I would look at that part, what symbols are these in their love, and
Okay.
then their career would be in this section.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah. So you still look at all the divisions and what the symbols actually mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to
Yeah.
put the link to your course just below this
Yeah.
video for people who are
Oh, good.
watching who want to check it
Oh,
out and
good.
sign up. And
Yes. Yeah.
I can highly recommend your course because I started it yesterday. I'm
Yeah.
about partway through it.
Good.
And I've never been so excited about learning like a new method of
It
intuitive
is.
reading before. So it's really, really, really fun. It's very like
It
easy to
is. It is.
understand. It's
It's
very, very
simple.
doable.
Yeah, it is. It's nice and easy entry. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and like I said, I always say it's easy to learn, and you don't need special skills apart from quiet space. It's like stop the mind chatter, any external noise, particularly when you're learning. Like I said, think about writing a child's story. Once upon a time, Karen saw or Karen did,
Hmm.
and that's what it is.
And I
Yeah.
really appreciated the part in your course where you talk about how to begin weaving the story in the reading. I thought
Yes.
that was very well.
Yeah.
I really liked that,
Yeah.
and I like that
Yeah.
idea of, weaving a
Yeah.
story with a
It
reading.
is. It's the story side of it. It's the storytelling and stringing it together.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Karen, for being
No.
here and for chatting with us and sharing all your wisdom and your knowledge about tea leaf reading. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
It's been
much.
lovely to have a chat to you. So, and like I said, I've seen a lot of people doing the course, which is wonderful.
Hmm.
Yes.
And where can people find you if they want to check out your website and things like that? I'll put
Um,
all those links
yeah.
below the
Yeah.
video too.
Yeah, no worries. I have a website. I've got tealeafreader.com. That's where I have all the products, and there's also a section in there about readings as well.
All
Yeah,
right.
and it's just tealeafreader.com. Reader, not readings, reader.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so
So,
much,
well,
Karen.
thank you. Thank you. And I hope everyone has some fun with it. That's the main thing. It's enjoy the journey.
Yes. Yeah. It's all about
Yeah,
the journey, right?
it is. It is. And it's like I said, don't be afraid. That's the biggest
Mhm.
thing. It's enjoy the journey. It's relaxing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I always say to people, especially when they're learning tarot, the more relaxed you are, the more fun
Oh,
you're going to
that's
have
it.
and the more
Yeah,
intuitive you're going to be. And it sounds like it's the
yeah,
same with tea leaf
yeah,
reading
it
too.
is. It is. I couldn't read a tarot card to save myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, no, couldn't
Yeah.
read a tarot card to save myself. Terrible.
Yeah. It's a whole
Yeah.
different beast, I
Oh, it's
suppose.
totally different structure altogether. And that's where I look at it and think, no, my brain's too overloaded with other things. I think that's the thing. And I struggle the stillness to try and take on something new. And I look at it and think, no, don't, no, no, I'll stick to what I know.
Yeah, and I can see how like
Yeah,
with tarot, there's so many symbols, there's so many cards, there's a lot
yeah,
going on. It is really
it
mind-boggling
is.
when
It
you're
is.
looking at a bunch of cards.
Oh,
Whereas
it is.
tea leaf
Yeah,
reading, I can see how that actually is more, it's a slower paced. There's
it's a
not
slow.
so much stuff to pay attention to.
Yeah. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So no, it's a lot less. I look at it can go wrong.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. So well, thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
Thanks so much, Karen. See you later.
Okay, bye everyone.